Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the Citizen Feed, a podcast made by players for players. And for all the returning audience, thank you so much for joining us. As a means of introduction, I'll go around the table to introduce you guys to the crew again. So on my left or right, I've got Delta X85. A little bit about yourself, my man.
What's going on, citizens? Delta X85 here. So I'm a relatively new player, as I stated last week. But as far as my gameplay, I probably am very informed because prior to playing this game, I made sure that because of the complexity of it, that I researched the game. I consumed as much of content as I could to make sure that when I actually got in the game, that I knew what I was doing and was very familiar with the concepts. Along with that, I decided that I wanted to create content myself. So I came up with an idea of several different avenues to create content and began that. Met these guys, and here we are. Run Order of Zion, a guild I just launched last weekend. We're moving forward with that. We will be PvP oriented, but we'll be a multifaceted crew, and we will make sure that the UEE leaves Stanton. So that's where we're going with that.
Awesome.
What about Ace, the guy himself who actually is from Stanton?
But where in Stanton, may I ask, Ace?
That's totally classified, and if I told you guys, I'd have to kill you, so...
Fair enough. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mozsta69, based here in Sydney, Australia. Org leader of the Skeleton Crew, passionate Star Citizen player, and happy to have you with us this week, where we aim to bring something a little bit different with this podcast, more of a player's view, and we're all three of us are players from different sort of sides of the fence, if you like. We've got a PvP, PvE, and a hybrid kind of player as well, so we can give our different perspectives. And so yeah, let's get stuck into it. Over to you, Ace,
Okay.
for the week in review.
Yeah, so guys, what have you been doing this week? Let us hear a little bit about your experiences and your adventures.
Well, let me tell you what happened to me yesterday. So I'm attempting to modify my cutty, right?
Mhm.
And then I have a new player. He's running around with me. And then he says, "Oh, shit, there's a ship coming through Port Alazar." We're in the terminals about to request a ship, right? And I turn around and I see the ship exploded, not in the context of flames and fire, but pieces and parts thrown around in the actual terminal room. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I turn around and there's my X1 quantum drive sitting there. And I'm like, oh, he's got the same quantum drive I do. And then I'm starting to piece it all together in my mind, and it's my cutty. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell is this? So it was actually a bug that I had. And apparently with this bug, when you're modifying your ship, it explodes into pieces and parts. When you exit the game, every time you come back and open it, or you wake up in the hab, your pieces and your parts are there with you. So you have to climb through them. And as you're climbing through them and over them, they push you in and out the room, inside the walls. You get stuck. So there was actually a process that we had to go through. Luckily, I've met a player, I think he's got like 7 years in. So he had a trick that we could do to get me back in. I've experienced a lot of bugs this week. I've been in the game a lot, and I've experienced a lot of bugs. So one of the things that I wanted to tell the citizens is we're not kissing anybody's ass. We're going to call it like we see it. We do love the game, but we're not going to tiptoe around the issues. We're dealing with a lot of bugs that need to be addressed. We need resources dedicated to those things, or a lot of players are just going to get frustrated with the game and quit it. Outside of that, and the bugs and issues, I dove really hard into bounty hunting, been grinding a lot. I've also actually haven't been in my personal Discord for our org much because I've decided to sit in, help out new players. And then as those new players come through, I've been working with them. And then some of them want to hang out with us and they come to the Order of Zion Discord. Then, my favorite gameplay loop now I've determined is indeed bounty hunting because there's another player that I've been playing with. He's been in the game for about 3 or 4 years. We had a pretty good system to where we were churning out bounties probably within every 5 to 7 minutes because he was a good pilot and he could get us to where we needed to go very rapidly. And we were doing all high priority targets and medium to high. So I just been trying to grind it out, man. Save money to increase my fleet and jump into some other gameplay.
What ship were you doing your bounties in, Delta?
So I know those guys that are seasoned out there are probably going to be like, oh my God. Well, so my first gameplay package was the Cuddy.
Yeah.
So I had a player help me with the loadouts and he walked me through Urkel. So we built out a ship, ran around for like 6 hours, buying pieces and parts, putting it together, trying it out, getting different builds together. So I've been running the Cuddy. However, he had recommended me to buy the Sentinel. So right now, I think that my next move is to purchase a fighter that would be good for bounty hunting. And he made some suggestions that, so I'm kind of weighing out that because I also want to run the mining loop. And I know a lot of people don't like mining because it's boring or it's tedious. But I used to be a PvE player, so I don't mind the grind because the last MMO I played, I think the programmers were sadists. They were Russians, but I do also think that they're sadists. Not to say that all Russians are sadists, but those programmers were. And then those players that actually played the game and played it for 10 years for 10, 12 hours at a time, they're masochists.
Nothing wrong with the Cuddy, first of all. And the Warden's a good move as well.
Yeah, both good chips. Any FPS? Did you walk around and shoot some dudes?
No. I haven't been a dick this week. I've been killing NPCs and just trying to learn the mechanics of the game before I make any decisions. However, the better I get, I want to challenge the UEE NPCs, and then we'll see where that goes from there. And when I say that, I mean to the extent that I want to do Grand Theft Auto Crime Stat 5 and see how long I can fucking survive with a crew of people that are good PvPers. So that's the ultimate goal.
Sounds like fun.
All right. Well, what did I do this week? So, divided into 2 parts. I did some mining with the Rock DS. Yes, I'm one of those guys that bought a Rock DS.
I did that too.
Okay.
A little bit of that.
And it was fun. We threw the Rock DS into a C2, and we went down to Magda. And we ended up getting 165k. So we divided that amongst 3 of us, which was nice, and went on our merry way. The second session I had this week was we got up to no good pretty much. We started killing folks, and then we ended up jumping into a hammerhead with 4 of us, and this is just a stock hammerhead. And we went and buzzed Port O, and we got our crime stat 5s, and we had a great night. I survived. I came home to Grimhex without going to jail. We ended up killing a Talon, and we killed a Warden, and we fought off 2 other ships. And then, as usual, the bugs started settling in. So one of my friends got disconnected, another guy got disconnected, and then I ran off by myself to Grimhex. So it was actually a surprisingly fun week, despite all the bugs. And, Ace, you said have you FPS'd? My character's stuck in a state where if I pull out a gun, it just wrecks the whole gaming session for me. I can't put the gun back in. I can't look at my Moby glass because my gun's always out. I probably have to delete my user folder or something, so I'll try and do that and see if that fixes the problem. But I do love doing FPS bunker missions and stuff, but at the moment I'm a bit frustrated, to be honest, with that bug. So hopefully
I think you might have to do a character reset for that.
Dun, 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 trying to avoid it. But yeah, one thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, one thing I did find out is instead of bringing out, you know how you got a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and a sidearm. I can bring out
some armor.
Yeah, I can bring out the sidearm and put that back in, no problem. So I'm running around with my Arclight pistol, which is
it's a good pistol. Come on, don't hate on it. It's cool.
Ooh, speaking of, dude.
I do love the
speaking of
Arclight.
weapons, this is a necessary interjection. Have you ever used the Karna?
Yes.
That's a badass gun, dude. I love that shit.
It's got its own sound as well. It's awesome.
Hell yeah. I bought like 10 of them so I could get more of them in the verse. And passing them around like candy. And then I bought 10 more. And then 10 more again.
How about you, Ace?
Those extra mags, man. Well, I haven't been playing too much. I had 2 sessions this week. I think one was on Tuesday, and that was mainly bounty hunting and not doing anything big apart from hunting some high-risk targets and getting the money in. The other day was playing with Delta, actually, and I had such a load of bugs that it was almost unplayable, and I got very frustrated at one point and said, okay, fuck it, I gotta go.
And he gave me a fucking crime stat too when he died.
I did not.
You're bugged. So somehow
it was the bug, man.
Yeah, we got a bug to where we both got crime stat 2s, and then that took me down a fucking rabbit hole.
And it was one of the weirdest bugs too. I mean, we were landed on Delamar on a landing pad, getting rocks into his cuddy.
Yeah.
And I parked my rock, got out of the rock, and wanted to make some room so he can drive his in. My character just fell over for no reason and was dead. So I was like, the fuck, what now? Okay, I died. Okay, I'll be right back.
I wound up doing a prison stint there because I acquired a few more crime stat levels.
The thing is, I spawned in bed, and the game was telling me, yeah, you are trespassing. No, dude, it's my hab. I'm not trespassing. It's totally okay. And they decided to give me a CS2 anyway, but...
you probably didn't pay the rent that week, mate. You were trespassing.
Hey, life's hard in Stanton, man.
Yeah. Well, you can try to be a mystery, but let me tell you, that fucking UEE is coming for you.
Yeah.
It wants its taxes. And you probably owe Hurston some hours since you're part of that life labor contract. They're going to kick you out and take your medical coverage away.
I don't work for those guys, man.
Awesome, guys. All right.
All right, so listen, guys. We actually had, drum roll, Chris Roberts decided to show his face this week, right?
Yeah, big.
So
the God has spoken.
Substantial. So I want to preface this whole segment. Dude gets reamed a lot by not the community, and I actually have a player that I've been playing with for a couple of years. He just got into Star Citizen as well, and he was on a soapbox about a lot of the issues with the game, and I actually had to stop him. I was like, dude, first off, have you seen the new video Chris Roberts released? Because everybody's always like, oh, it's about money, dude. If it was about money, I don't think that they'd be continuously adding more people to the development team. They're just expanding this shit. And I actually think that this dude is very, very passionate about it. And I do believe that. He's as passionate about this as Elon Musk is, colonizing Mars. I really do believe that. I see it. I think it's genuine.
I agree.
And you got to see a lot of that in that video with him and Sandi. So now one of the things that he pointed out We're like 720 employees for CIG, and 20 are
Working on
they
server meshing.
focus server meshing. I have an issue with that. I try to be positive about the whole situation and look at what we are getting. The bugs are a major issue for me. Server meshing is substantial. We have got to have more than 50 players on a server. And to be honest with you, even if we were allowed 100, the servers cannot support 50 most of the time. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. On an empty server, you get good performance, and as soon as there's like 20 people, stuff goes down quickly.
I personally like to see more than 20 people working on server meshing, and I talked to a guy that he actually does coding. He said that is, oh, well, that's about average for something of that scale. And I was like, dude, no. If you have a vision that has never been envisioned before, which is Star Citizen, give me double or triple what you would normally put in that category. Server meshing is essential for this game's survival, because once we get server meshing, things like PvP or player created content, like last week I alluded to the fact when server meshing comes in, that's when the PvP is going to get intense, and you're going to get whole entire sectors of the game divided up with a great fucking war. It always happens in every MMO, and I cannot wait for it to happen in Star Citizen. So, Moz, what did you pick out of the video that was interesting to you?
Well, man, anytime Chris Roberts and Sandi, there used to be a show called Around the Verse. So they used to do a segment regularly, and then they kind of went, Chris Roberts, I don't know, sort of stepped away a little bit from the public media side of things. And when he came back on Delta and Ace, man, I just realized how much I missed him. It's so nice to see his passion. And he was, we all play through all these bugs and we kind of work around them. We ignore them. We get frustrated by them. For him to sit there and be honest, Delta is one of the main things I took away. He was really honest, man. And it was refreshing. If he said he's more honest, then I'm sorry, but some of the other sort of private I don't know, YouTubers or whatever that kind of, are very proactively positive on Star Citizen. He was more negative on his own product and more real than a lot of these guys, right? So he admitted, that his daughter was pissed off that NPCs were standing on seats. He logged in there, and his body language, he shook his head. He said, I logged into my game, and he kind of shook his head and kind of, that's all I needed. I was like, right, this guy's on the same page as me. And if he sat there and said, everything's fine and you're going to see great progress and stuff, and that kind of sales pitch, it would have really kind of agitated me. But he said exactly what I wanted him to say, with the passion, with the level of detail on server meshing and all the other stuff, that it just rejuvenated me. And then seeing Sandi, his wife, trolling him is just the best entertainment. So,
absolutely. It was. She was the one that identified that his daughter reamed him for the NPCs being screwed up in the game. So if his daughter actually played it, I think he'd have got much worse when she dealt with all the other issues. And then the fact that Sandi called him out about it on camera, and he had, he was like, it is like, it was very genuine. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a lot of people analyze it and say that it was staged, but as far as I'm concerned, that was a very genuine video, and we'll see where it goes. Ace, what did you take from it?
Yeah, I mean, it might have felt a bit like staged or whatever, but you have to remember they are doing a show. They're doing a show. No, it's not even what I felt. I've been talking with a few of my mates who also watched it, and one of them said, it felt a little forced. But you have to understand, man, it's the first thing they did after the pandemic and such, and I guess it's kind of hard to come back to a project and realize like, okay, I gotta say something to the dudes, and shit is not running as expected right now, and it's not at the point I want it to be. So yeah, try to spice it up and make it a little bit.
Yeah, so iCache
Give it
is
a
changed
slightly
its name.
happy side.
Yeah, yeah. So
Come
iCache
again?
has changed its iCache.
Yeah.
They are now calling it something different.
Yeah.
He's shooting the idea around that we may be able to see some aspects of it by the end of the year, which is, the first step towards server meshing. I don't think we're going to have server meshing for another 2 years, in my opinion. If we would be lucky
Probably
to
not.
get it. No, we will not have it before then. There's no way.
Also, another important thing to note was that I think him and Sandi were moving back to England to really stay across the Squadron 42 team. So I think that's going to be a focus to get Squadron 42 back on track, I suppose.
Another thing they mentioned was they're gonna move offices in UK and in Germany. So they're getting a bigger one in was it London? I don't remember. Somewhere in the UK, and the other one in Frankfurt.
Manchester.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I thought it was pretty cool that he was actually working on a system himself. He's been coding for, I think he said about a year now, on and off.
Yeah.
Where we will actually be able to, that was the inventory deal, wasn't it? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we'll actually be able, so if you have, from what I understood, and I may be applying what I want it to be.
No. It wasn't inventory, Delta. It wasn't, like, correct me if I'm wrong. It was kind of like the hitbox stuff around the body.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But he did say something about the inventory stuff, and which had to deal with iCache, and then that came after the coding. Okay, yeah, I'm wrong for that. But yeah, so yeah, I remember the hitbox with how the helmets and whatnot. Cloth. Even if you got shot, it wouldn't hit the helmet.
Yeah,
it would. So you would have to.
Always hit dead center.
Even he was saying that your skin and everything is overlaid. The skeleton itself is actually the hitbox, or what represents as the physical part of the character.
Yeah, he was saying the hitbox today is a bit like blocky, right? No, it's not blocky. It doesn't follow the armor, so everyone's got the same hitbox. Doesn't matter if you're wearing heavy armor, light armor, if you're wearing a big fat helmet like that teddy bear helmet, or you're wearing a little helmet, your head has got the same hitbox. So in some instances, if you're wearing a large helmet, the bullet will go through the edges of it, right? So he's making the hitbox follow the contours of the cloth, the armor, the helmet, so it's just a more accurate representation in the world of those physical objects. But the fact that the CEO is actually coding kind of spins me out. Like, I don't know, is it good or bad? I don't know.
Well, he said they'll be testing it before implementing it, because none of his stuff gets just implemented. They always backcheck if it's actually working before.
That's true, and
in the game.
That's good to hear as well, because you don't want like a CEO coding and just saying, shove my code in there, you plebs. So he has to go through the engineering kind of checks and balances, which is good to hear.
I was happy to hear that with the inventory they're working on as well. Instead of having to fucking dress your character, you'll be able to have like whole fucking entire outfits and armor, and it's like going to be more like a paper doll system, he said, where you drag things over to your character. More intuitive, a lot easier, a lot more efficient, because it sucks, dude, when you want to trend.
Right now it's a pain, man.
If you're one of those players that like to change clothes and whatnot, and I don't get into that, but it'll make it a lot more efficient because the menus suck, man. You got to go in, you got to put on your helmet, go in, put on your armor. You got to go in, put on this, put on that. If you want to change something different, go in and do one by one by one by one.
Yeah.
And the next thing is it fucking lags.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's absolutely true.
It has lag. Like sometimes when you have like 30 seconds because you're bleeding out and your med pants are empty, you go into the menu, equip the med pants, and
You're
wait
dead.
and die,
Yeah.
and then you spawn and have the med pan equipped. So I mean,
oh, Star Citizen. All right,
yeah,
guys.
it needs some fixing.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next video. So we're all happy Chris Roberts came out. I hope he does it once a month. Let's move on to the next video. And boy, what a doozy. Star Citizen Live, all about 3.14.
And it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dense episode.
There's a lot, guys. So I'm going to throw it to you, Ace, this time. I'm going to throw it to you, my friend. You tell me the highlight.
Yeah.
We don't have to go through all the details. Just tell me what were the big ticket items that impressed you or worried you or whatnot.
Well, what was mostly interesting, or the most interesting of that episode for me, was the talk about the clouds and how they made them up in like layers. I think he mentioned it's a 7-layer dip and stuff, and that they actually build canyons into the clouds, so it's not just like a big poofy ball and you fly along it or through it or under it. It's gonna be, you'll have some sort of it's not geoformations, but you'll have canyons and whatnot. You can fly through and at different heights. You'll have different visual experiences in the clouds, and yeah, that was very interesting to me. And
new tech, right? That's like brand new tech
absolutely
coming into the game.
That's the thing. It's brand new, and they even compared it with I don't know if it was in that video or it was in the Chris Roberts video when he was talking about clouds, that it's not like in the Microsoft Flight Simulator because the scale is just so much bigger. I mean, you don't just fly in the sky. You can just fly away and out of the planet and look at it from outside, and it still had to work. So
yeah,
it's way more complicated.
And now that you're talking about the cloud tech, like it's been confirmed that it's only going to be at Crusader at the moment until they're able to scale it out to other planets.
Yeah.
Another thing was about the clouds was I think you're going to have layers of clouds that you can go through, and then there's going to be a bottom though. There will be a bottom. You can't fly through Crusader. There's going to be a floor. Is that right? From your understanding, Ace?
Yeah. So
no, I think the way I understood it is like that all ships will get a certain number for a certain amount of pressure they can withhold.
Right.
I mean, like. And the deeper you dive into the atmosphere, the higher the atmospheric pressures will become, and at some point it will just smash your ship.
Pop.
Just imagine like a submarine.
Yeah.
At a certain point, it's too deep in the ocean, and the pressure gets too much, and it gets like crumbled up like tinfoil.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they're going with the system. So you won't be able to go all the way down, and depending on the ship you fly, you will be able to go deeper than other ships, which might come in handy for hiding.
Escaping. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, Delta, you were going to say on the clouds?
Well, no, he actually said exactly what I was going to say, but I'll put this along with what he said. With the EU-PU team video a couple weeks ago, they actually addressed that. And I don't think we covered it on this show because we really weren't interested in it at the time, but now it comes up. Exactly what he said. They're going to program it to where you're going to have a range, and that atmospheric pressure will affect different ships different ways.
Yeah.
I'm reiterating what he just said. However, what interests me the most is power management. That power management system is going to dramatically change flight skills, because now
the capacitor stuff.
Yeah, dude. Now you're going to have to multitask to an extent that is going to be overwhelming for a lot of new players. It's going to be overwhelming for a lot of people in general, no matter how long you've been playing.
I agree.
I can't wait until our co-pilots actually have the ability to change and regulate and control certain aspects of the ship.
That's what.
Go ahead.
Sorry for interrupting you.
You're good.
That's the part I didn't get about the video. Was it? Will the capacitors work for the co-pilot too, or is it just for the pilot? That's what I'm not sure right now.
From what I understand, seeing different things, we're supposed to get a few more aspects of co-piloting in 314. I do think that more of that will come in 315.
Oh, that would be great.
In my notes, Ace, I did write co-pilots will be able to use the capacitor system.
Okay, perfect, great. That's great.
Yeah,
I know co-pilots will get the missile operator mode,
correct,
like in the next patch, which is also great because finally you can do something else than pretend to press important buttons. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, for my take on capacitance is not only the capacitance system. Like laser systems are going to be drawing from the capacitor system, so they're not just unlimited bullets. That's a huge change. And Delta, this is a great time for you to kind of have joined Star Citizen because everything's about to change. So it might level off the playing field in a PvP sense because people have to relearn everything. And anyway, the timing's great, but so lasers
to do all that stuff on the fly, you're gonna have to do it on the fly, moving, mixing, managing. Lasers, go ahead.
Yep. So lasers are gonna have. So they're gonna have an amount of ammunition, if you like, which is based on the capacitance. So you shoot, and capacitor goes empty. You can't shoot your lasers anymore, and then there's a recharge time as well associated with it. If you put more energy to weapons or something, you'll recharge quicker. Or if you've got capacitance going elsewhere, maybe you'll recharge slower. So, I mean, what is it? 50%? I don't know what it is. 60% of the weapons are laser based. This just changes so much, and I'm so excited to get my hands on it and see what the hell happens. The afterburner was now back to being called the boost. We used to have it called the boost. And the boost now uses capacitance as well. So anything else?
Yeah, whereas before it used heat.
That's right. Actually, that's right. Heat was the limiting. That's huge. Heat was the limiting factor to performance and stuff. Now, they were saying that heat's going to have a long-term effect. The short-term effect is capacitance. You run out of capacitance, you can't do certain things. But heat will be a long-term consequence. So if you keep pushing your ship, I imagine the components and stuff will degrade, and you have to replace them and stuff.
Yeah, that's coming too in the future, like component degradation.
And can I just add, guys, it's not only capacitance; they're changing the pitch and yaw rates and roll rates of all the ships massively.
Yes.
So
and they to get those systems in all the few things we just talked about, they had to make a pass on pretty much every single ship in the game.
Yeah,
that's also something they said in the video that they had to revisit each and every individual ship and adjust it to the new stuff. And I can't wait, honestly. If it's anything like I imagine it to be, it will be super hard, but also super awesome. One thing to mention maybe with the capacitors for everybody who's like afraid of having to learn all this different stuff, and then they said you will be able to just set it to medium settings, so it's evenly spread out and not care about it.
Yep. That's right.
But if you learn to use it, you'll have an edge. That's what
that in itself is going to, especially when we are allowed to have crews, and this kind of also attaches itself to long distance probing. They're getting to a point where they're adding loops that certain members of a crew will be specialized in one thing more so than another. So we have individuals that are good turret gunners. We'll have individuals that will be good navigators because with the long distance probing, they'll actually have to interpret the data that comes back. So you have, if you got a player that's better at interpreting those signatures, you would obviously want that individual to work on, data management, for instance. Whereas if you have someone that is a good co-pilot that specifically works with efficiency in managing the power systems, especially on the fly, depending on what you're doing. Are you hauling? Are you fighting? Because you're going to have to shift powers to shields, shift powers to shift power to this, shift power to that. When you're, in a logistics situation, that's going to be totally different. And then with that comes specialization of your crew, and with that, the immersiveness. I actually love that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, in the future, what's planned is you will absolutely need an engineer on board to keep your big ships running. They will have like relays and everything, and energy systems will have to be relayed, especially if you took damage and stuff. So that components of the ship keep working, and you'll need an engineer for that. You can't just hop out of your pilot seat, go fix everything, and jump back in while others are shooting you. So
That's
you will need a team, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, at the moment, light fighters are dominating the landscape. So they've reduced massively the pitch and the yaw rates of the light fighters and other ships as well, which is huge. They're trying to go for a more positional dogfighting as opposed to this kind of situation we have today where we're throwing light fighters at 50 Gs as if there's no human being in the cockpit, right? We're just going in different directions at maximum speed and like spinning around and all sorts of crazy sort of physics, which is very unrealistic if there's a human being in that cockpit, because his brains will be coming out of his ears and his intestines will be coming out of his ass with those type of G-forces. So
pretty much, yeah.
They're trying to reduce all that, which is going to be huge. And then on top of the, if you like, light fighter nerf, they're going to put them back into a bubble shield as well.
Exactly. That's what I was going to next, that smaller fighters will get bubble shields again instead of the four sides we have right now, where you get like left side, right side, front and rear. And the bubble is composed of several parts. So you could you can send energy from the left side to the right side, can't you?
No. The bubble is one bubble, Ace. So
that's the case.
Yeah.
And for the fighters, they won't be able to do that.
Correct.
Because it's just basically one shield emitter they get going.
Exactly. So the whole spinning around in space that they're doing today enabled them to survive even longer, because you'd hit one side, they'd spin around because they're an arrow, whatever, and you'd hit the other side, and you never got consistent hits because they're so fast, so maneuverable, and they had four sides on the shield. So that's going to nerf light fighters massively, I think, on paper.
I hope. I think it's needed.
Yeah.
Because it's silly that you can like go with an arrow and just take out a hammerhead. It's just not what I imagine,
Yeah, exactly. Some other things in 3.14 I'd like to get your feelings on was so new HUDs, canvas splicing. Have you guys seen the pictures of the new HUDs, Delta? Have you?
Oh yeah.
No, I haven't seen the new HUDs.
Yeah, I didn't like. When I saw the first few screenshots, I didn't like it. I thought it was too busy. But then during the video, I saw them with the new HUD, and I didn't mind it. Ace, I'm not sure what you think of the new HUDs, or if they bother you. You don't care?
Matter. No, actually, I do care. I think they look fantastic. We'll have to see how useful they turn out to be, because right now the HUD's like really compact. And you have everything inside, like right outside the reticle. But the new ones looked as if they were making use of more of the screen. So it's all more spread out, which might actually help. in certain situations, I feel like having everything so condensed in the center is it's sometimes a little inconvenient to see.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
especially when you're dogfighting and stuff.
The more I look at the HUD, the more I'm starting to like it because it does pull everything out of the center and put it on the sides, and it adds a lot more information at the same time. Anyway, I have to get my hands on it to see if I'm gonna fall in love with it. Yeah. If you got,
But if we're going by looks, I love it.
yeah. So yeah, can't wait, and that's going to enable them to customize it and have different ships, have different HUDs and stuff. So it's not only a new HUD that looks different; it's actually new technology as well, which is really good.
And they said they will add colorblind support, which will be very useful for a lot of people.
Ah, brilliant! That's awesome. So some other things, maybe Delta, you might like this stuff that is in 3.14. I'm not sure if you heard, but like a lot of Todd Pammy was talking about a lot of crime enhancements. So, for example, you can now knock out someone and that won't kill them, which is good because previously, if you knock someone out,
it was getting a crime stat.
Yeah. You can destroy your party's vehicle. So when you're in a party or in an org, you're doing an event, you can kill each other's vehicles without getting a crime stat. You can fall to the lower level of the prison without getting a crime stat.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny because I when I went to prison, I have a tendency to run everywhere I'm going, and I like to jump from the top of a flight of stairs to the bottom landing. When I went to prison, I underestimated the gravity, So when I jumped, or the lack of, when I jumped, I cleared the top landing, or cleared the whole entire set of stairs, cleared the bottom landing, fell into the center, and then I was like, oh fuck! So I tried to parkour out of there. That wasn't happening. Fell straight down into the tunnel. Got another crime. An additional crime stat or whatever degree it affects you, and I was pretty shitting about that because it was an accident.
Yeah,
which made me hate the UE even more for putting me there.
So that's gone now. You can fall to your heart's content, and then you won't get arrested.
You'll just die.
Some other things of note, guys, was I'm not sure if any of you guys are interested in the final constellation ship coming out, the Taurus, which is much sort of awaited by people that own a Taurus only, I suppose.
Yes.
I don't own a Taurus. I assume none of you guys do. No. Yep.
Nah, I'm not a Connie man.
I don't have one.
And
the only RSI ship I have is the Scorpius.
Oh, nice. The X-Wing. Very nice.
Yeah. With that.
And the other thing I'd like to add is Todd Pappy's, you were talking Delta, like, server meshing, throw everything at it, the kitchen sink and whatever. So Todd Pappy, who's the game director, he, in that video, he was like, let's just say he was like, you know how all the NPCs are T-posing and the game doesn't remember their state, so they're standing on chairs and they just look a bit lifeless and dead. He's like, I want that fixed.
Yeah. So, guys, if you remember, before we actually started this podcast, there was, I can't recall if it was a Star Citizen, it was an in-Star Citizen, Star Citizen, where they were discussing actually how that happens. So when a player is not in when a player is not in an area of a server, everything gets pulled out. So as you come in, it renders it back in, and they don't always have. It's not very intuitive, and you can tell that now because we're seeing the NPCs when they come in. They're all standing around like a bunch of fucking weirdos. Like I feel like I'm in some 1980s horror movie
meeting.
Yeah,
Cold
cold mating,
mating.
dude. Yeah, that's what it looks like, man.
Yeah.
I just want to shoot him, but we're in an armistice zone because it's too fucking creepy, dude.
Yeah.
I hope that gets removed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the armistice.
I want to
Yeah,
be
and
able to pull my gun wherever I am and just light
yeah,
everyone
that's
up.
they got
I
fucking
mean,
laws
put me in
for it, dude.
prison,
I
but
mean,
I had the experience.
yeah, the
Yeah.
experience, and then GTA it on out of there to get you a crime
Yeah.
stat 5 on the way out. Fuck all you.
Did they
I
say
claim
they
diplomatic immunity.
did they mention something about like armistice zones being totally reduced around the place? I thought that was in the video, but I can't see it in my notes. So
We should.
Um,
I mean, it's necessary.
yeah, I'm not sure
We
about
we need to
guns.
reduce.
I was talking about ship armistice zones. I think were they
I
going to
think they
reduce
mentioned
that?
something along the lines like they will completely get rid of them again.
Oh
Yeah,
shit. Well, Porto, you
At
won't be
least as a
able to
long
get
term
off.
goal.
You won't be able to get off the fucking pads.
yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
It will be.
Not for you if you're trying to leave. You'll have to server hop to be able to get the fuck off the pad.
Nah.
You just got to time it right in between the gaps of explosions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One,
Go, go,
two,
go, go, go.
three, go. That's all I got from 314, guys. A lot coming.
Yeah,
Combat's going to be changed. Sorry, Delta. Go ahead, mate.
I was just about to say with the 314 situation and that video in and of itself, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I watched like half of it, then I got to a point to where I told myself, fuck it. I'm just ready for them to release it. Let's roll with it. Then we'll cover it after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, we're definitely ready for 314. We need it. There's a lot of situations where when we were playing this week, I had 3 people that had to do account resets in order to continue to
It's
play the game.
horrendous.
It's awful,
horrendous.
dude.
It's horrendous.
I call it the pre-patch blues. Like
Yeah.
every
Pre-patch
time
blues.
there's a new patch about to launch, like the old system is so fucked by that I'm experiencing the worst bugs ever. I mean, when 313 launched, I had a pretty good time. I had good performance, good FPS, a little desync, but it wasn't as heavy as it is right now.
Yeah.
But the further it continues and the further we get to the new patch, it's always getting worse for me.
Yeah, me too. All right. That's it from Star Citizen Live.
Okay, what else did we have? We had Inside Star Citizen: Life Among the Clouds, and we were talking. We mentioned it briefly in the last podcast, but we're gonna dive a little bit in depth into it this week. So, you guys saw the video. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as far as when we get to a situation where this actually put into the game, it's going to give us another area to go to, and we did discuss it a little bit in the last podcast, and then hinted on it because it's been mentioned in several different videos, but now we actually had an opportunity to take a look at it. You know, here we saw some of the developers working on it, and the amount of detail that they put in it, I think, is probably more so than any other place in the game. Because if you look at, say, Grimhex, the amount of detail, because I've actually been looking around at the small details of everything around, and with what they're about to introduce here, the amount of details, like there was a pond with rocks and whatnot in it, and the amount of details in the rocks and the water, and then the fireflies at night, you know, things that players don't even really think about nor care about, just
But
adds
it's there.
to
It
the
makes a
to
difference.
the attempting to make it reality. And for me, I mean, those guys have actually done a really good job, and I would imagine that the amount of time that they've put into this, and with the new tech that they've also had to create, because they had to create a gas giant with certain rules.
Mhm.
That, I mean, how do you create rules for gas you know. So no wonder they've been working on this thing for almost a year now. What about you, Moss?
Well, there's a few little bits I'd like to tie off because it kind of ties into 3.14. So the video was mainly about Crusader, but there was a kind of gameplay stuff that I forgot to mention as well. So in 3.14, that the missiles will be updated with proper flight simulation, if you like. So they're going to be a lot more effective, which will, again, change combat massively.
I would actually like to see a remote controlled missile, meaning that your co-pilot actually gets the opportunity to direct and fly a particular missile. That'd be fucking awesome.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Also, as part of the HUD stuff, if you like, the radar and scanning interfaces are being updated, which is awesome. You know, a lot of this stuff that we look at are like, they were programmed many, many years ago and on old tech. So it's just refreshing to see all this stuff to be, you know, updated, like radar and scanning. And then they said radar and scanning was updated also with upcoming FPS counterpart. So you're going to have radar and scanning as a FPS guy, as a soldier, like aliens. Beep, 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 you know, on the radar.
Yeah, the interesting bit is they mentioned that it will be a tactical decision to use the ping. You'll have two things. You will have the radar, which will always give you like your radar readout, but you'll also be able to ping.
Yep.
And send out a signal.
Yeah.
That will give you like more precise positioning of whatever is in your area.
Yeah.
But they also said as soon as you ping, everybody else will be able to see you on their mobiGlas and on their radars. So
same thing as scanning now.
Yeah.
So now everybody's going to be able to read it. So you're going to fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And I guess you'd have to use it strategically.
That's it.
Yeah, sometimes it might be smarter to just go and look for yourself instead of scanning and giving away your position. So I hope that brings in some interesting play.
Oh yeah, I could see a lot of people, especially hungry PvPers that like to grief people, set up traps, and especially when piracy is instituted. There's a lot you could do with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they're the kind of gameplay stuff, and the new surrender system. So you can now give up, put your hands up, and you don't lose your life, you don't lose your ship, you get a shorter prison sentence. So all that's pretty cool stuff. But getting back to Crusader and my thoughts on it. So really excited to see this beautiful environment that we're going to be able to go in. I'm at the same time very worried about the performance. For those that don't know, I believe that the engine's at maximum capacity, and there's very little room to keep adding more and more stuff into it at the moment. So I'm quite worried about the performance at Crusader. But moving off that, you know, it's just a beautiful place. Like you guys said, I was looking at it, and there was so much vegetation. There was heaps of trees and stuff, more than any other environment, including New Babbage. There was, as Delta touched on, there was all these waterfalls and water features everywhere. And then there was insects and stuff. Almost felt like you were like so connected to nature, despite the fact you're like hovering above a cloud giant. It felt like you were connected to nature in that place. And that just is, you know, it was really, really nice. What
I like about... Go ahead. Sorry.
No. That was it. Go ahead, Ace.
What I like about is it has that slightly different look. As in, you have open skies and you have open skies up and down. So you have that huge feel of maybe freedom is the wrong word, but it's very different than the claustrophobic feel you get when you're walking inside Grimhacks or one of the rest stops or whatever. They feel cramped. They feel tight. They feel as if they stink, like machine smells and you know, like average dirt. And if you look at Crusader, I imagine it smelling of cherry blossoms and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, they probably
all the petals falling and.
Yep.
put some conscious effort into that, because if you think about it from a psychological perspective, you're on a gas giant. One, you can only live on some sort of technology, be it, the quote unquote raft system, pods, whatnot, everything's floating. You would want to not be contained all the time. So when you think of gas, it's like, it's got this connotation of suffocating. So it would need to be open. You would need to incorporate more of nature there as well, because I would imagine it's very fucking depressing living in a gas. It'd probably be equally depressing as living on Grimhex.
Yeah. We know that you don't like to live on Grim Eggs.
No, I fucking hate Grimhex.
Oh, too funny. Yeah, agree. Are those platforms, they're all connected to each other? Like, how does it... I was looking at it and pausing it. There was
I know they were initially, but I'm not
So-
sure they left them all connected now. Because I think they even mentioned it in the video that they made the decision to not have them like joined by struts only.
right.
They were supposed to be like connected with lattice work and such, but
one of
they
the
said it
shots that I saw, they were detached.
Detached or attached?
Yes, some of them were detached. Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, I saw
yeah,
that as
I
well.
think that's the case. I think that's the
Mhm.
case.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll know in 2 or 3 weeks and have some good looks.
So
It's going to
maybe...
be interesting
until then.
to see how they incorporate landing transit throughout Crusader. That's something that
Transit
they
will
didn't
be
cover.
well in parts. They mentioned the shuttle. I don't know if you've seen that. There's a Crusader
No,
shuttle.
I didn't see the
I didn't
the
see
shuttle.
that. No.
No, I guess my
It
brain
looks
picked out what
it
it
looks
wanted
like a
from.
mix of an MSR and some tourist minivan with a clear top.
Oh, yes. I saw that ages ago. Yeah, and people were like, we need this. I need to buy one of these.
Yeah, that's what they were also asking in the 314 video if they could get the Horizon shuttle, and people were like, "Nah,
Yeah, that's
you're not getting the Horizon shuttle."
Star Citizen guys are like, holy shit, man, we should have like released this. We could have made another $20 million. People want to become shuttle
Not gonna lie,
drivers.
it's fucking cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Mate, there might be a market for people who own the Pisces or the Argo to become little taxi drivers around Orison. Who knows?
Get a Spectrum releases an app that challenges Uber.
That's it.
The in-game Uber would be fun.
Yeah.
What else could we take away from that video? There wasn't too much information. It was mainly visuals and
Yeah. I think it'll be a place that I go visit, kill a space whale based on the scenario we created last week, and then I'm leaving and never going back.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be hanging
plan
out
on
there.
do some.
I'll be hanging out there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna visit that bar and I'm gonna have some nice dog fights in them clouds. And
Well, one thing that I am excited about is you know how every port or area that you go to, it has its own shops, and then all those shops have different items. I'm curious to see if they instituted or added any new items.
Yeah.
For running around trying to find random shit, changing up things with armor and clothes and pieces and parts for your ship. It's going to be interesting.
Definitely have
I
new
know
fashion. Definitely have new
yeah,
fashion.
exactly. We got new clothing for at least NPCs. Not sure we can buy it at some point, but there's new stuff for the NPCs. That's some really cool pink, blue, white themed
When they have a
Crusader
loot system,
Origin
then you can go there and murder them and hopefully just take their clothes.
exactly. And
Take their
everything
shoes.
they own.
Just the shoes.
Give me the shoes.
I got. All right. All right. Should we move on to?
Yeah, man. Let's shift on
Yeah,
along.
Do SHIPtalk.
Oh yeah. So new segment.
Yeah, new segment. Um,
I think actually this is gonna be a good segment to have. It's gonna be unique to the world of podcast and Star Citizens.
Yep.
So we're gonna actually cover a ship every week, go over it, talk about it, maybe the manufacturer, dimensions, what it offers, the crew size, what type of weapons does it have, and
Would we buy one?
drum roll. Maz, what's the ship of this week?
This week, it's the newly announced Gatac Railen. So this is a Xi'an ship. It's the first. It's the first. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. It's the first interspecies ship. So the manufacturer has made a ship that's made for two different species, which I would love to see. Walk around inside and see like some quirkiness. Like the bed, is it a little bit weird because it has to better, a Xi'an and a human. The bathroom, I don't know, but I want to see what is actually makes it a interspecies ship. I might as well just run through the specs, guys, and then I'll hand it over to you guys. So it's it uses Xi'an's proprietary Gravlev technology that we can already see on the Nox, and we can see on the Khartu-Al. If you guys have seen a Khartu-Al, if you look at the steps, they use
a few times.
Yep, they use the Gravlev, which is Xi'an proprietary technology. It's got 320 SKU, which, just to put it into perspective, the Caterpillar has got 576 SKU. The Freelancer Max has got 122 SKU, so it kind of sits nicely between the Caterpillar and the Freelancer Max in regards to cargo capacity. It's on regards to weaponry. It's got two turrets. It's got one on each side. Each one of those turrets has got two size 4 weapons, which is okay, I suppose.
It's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
For a cargo ship? Yeah.
I always shrug my shoulders because turrets sometimes they're a bit hit and miss. So yeah, assuming turrets are effective, then that would be quite hefty. And yeah, that's it. And one thing I noticed is I saw pictures of the inside, man, and it was extremely elegant inside. Like it made Origin ships look old-fashioned in my book. So I don't know what you guys
very
thought.
Modern vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. It's very modern and has a very unique and individual feel and style to it, which I like. But one thing you were mentioning, you were mentioning the interspecies capacities of the ship, and they will have, like, we got showers and bathrooms and such. And for the Xi'an, they will have like a wall where they can scratch off their skin and whatnot. I don't know how Xi'an clean themselves, but that's apparently one of the things they need. So they got a scratch wall.
Wow! I can't.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that animation in the verse.
The scratching board.
Yeah.
Another thing is it will have like a small kitchen for the humans to prepare their food, and Xi'an don't eat like human food. There's some they can eat, but they mainly enjoy fermented stuff. So there'll be fermentation pots in the same area as the little kitchen where we can cook our food. They will be able to ferment whatever they like to ferment and eat that. So yeah, that's another little bit about the interspecies thing they'll have going on the ship.
It's interesting that with this Gravlev technology, if you're mining and you have someone that's participating in the mining expedition with this hauler, there's a lot you could do with that. You could get in and out of places very conveniently, especially when we are able to get into caves deep. And if there's a demeta becomes that go deep into the cave and you can actually mine this cargo ship would actually be pretty useful. I think it looks like it's not that large. I mean, it's not massive. Was it
No, it's
53 meters? Yeah, 53 in length,
Yep.
52 in width.
Yep.
Height is 67. I think you could definitely get into some places and make hauling stuff a lot more convenient.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the detachable cargo and stuff, makes it a lot more flexible, I suppose, getting into tough
So I was actually
places.
gonna say for me that it would be a no-go for me. I'm not a cargo hauler, don't want to be. However, for those individuals that are haulers, I'm pretty sure that they could find a use for this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a cargo
I
hauler.
agree.
I've got a Caterpillar and a C2. I'm like, but how many cargo haulers do you need in your fleet? You know, at the end of the day, I'm going to be in one ship and I'm a Drake man. So I'm kind of in two minds. I've got some store credit sitting there. I think I'd want to get it just for the sheer brilliance of the look and the way it transforms when you go from landing gear mode into flight mode. But one thing I kind of doesn't sit with me well is you guys seen the front face, right? It's like a giant star. I'm thinking in atmosphere, in my engineering side, is like that thing's like a fucking air brake. Like it must have some.
It will fly like a brick, yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, it's alien technology, man.
yeah.
You're not supposed to question that. What's wrong with you? Why are you questioning alien technology?
That's exactly how I have to refer to in my brain. That okay, it's Xi'an magic that this thing's not like an air brake going through the air in atmosphere.
It might have some sort of.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, though? Do you get what I mean? Like the face of
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
It's like a
Big
like
giant
an umbrella,
star.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
he's a xenophobe. He's a xenophobe. He's subtly implying that they're not capable of that type of technology.
Humanity first.
And now that I'm being pedantic about little things, the second thing was the shape of the cargo pods. They're like little pyramids, right? And I'm thinking like, is that an efficient way of loading stuff? Like when you move home, you don't get triangular boxes to put your books and stuff into, do you? Like, but anyway, that's just me. I'll see how that unfolds. But having a triangular cargo pod kind of seems inefficient use of space, but there could be some benefit to it. So I don't know.
Maybe they're the ancient aliens that built the pyramids on Earth.
maybe, yeah.
With their grav-led technology, it all makes sense now. You see the connection there?
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it is.
I mean, the Xi'an Empire is old enough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're if you look at their language, it has this Asiatic feel to it.
Oh, absolutely.
It does. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe they were here, and it all began with
sprinkled pyramids across the globe.
Yeah. So we're gonna shift out of that into my favorite segment, is the lure section. That's another aspect that we offer here. We are going to take in consideration this week commerce. So with lure, we're going to sample ideas. We're going to come up with a general idea. Then we're going to sample some items that actually deal with the subject. We'll begin this week since Crusader's coming in 314 in a couple of weeks, and we'll start off with Crusader Industries. So Crusader Industries actually is known to be a producer of large commercial vessels. We already talked about, the state of the way it's development as far as habitation is concerned. But their most popular products is Starliner. The commercial space. Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think of it? Yeah. So, I mean, would you guys say that it is overrated, underrated?
Well,
What do you mean? The ship itself? It's not
The
out
ship,
yet. That's the thing.
ship
Yeah,
is
the Starliner is not out yet. That you'll have to imagine the Starliner a little bit like a big 747 for space travel.
yeah,
So
it's yet to be
unfortunately,
determined.
it's not out.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm
But
excited.
based on what you've seen about it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for. I mean, again, this is my imagination going wild. Like, imagine you buy a Genesis Starliner, and there's a valid need for you. Despite this is the tricky part. Despite everyone having spaceships, there's going to be
Mhm.
somehow. There has to be somehow a valid need for you to go and buy a ticket to go from point A to point B and then get onto some other player's Starliner, and then that player takes you from point A to point B, and you're a passenger on that Starliner. If they actually manage to put that in the game, then I think I'm excited for it, Delta. To answer your question,
That's your Uber. That's what I was trying to get at. I mean, are
Yeah,
you
I actually got an idea
what you
for
have
that.
heard about it? Is it
Yeah,
overrated or underrated?
well, I always had this idea like how to bring in new players that are like hesitant maybe to buy into the game. And one idea I had was like let people play for free, but don't give them citizen status. And citizen status is the thing that allows you to actually buy a ship and own a ship later on.
Hmm.
But you could have like players playing for free in the verse, fulfilling certain roles as crew
Oh
members
my
on
god,
ships.
that's amazing. That's a great idea,
And at
dude.
this point, the Starliner would be like a big
Or-
money maker because you have to move people from A to B, and they wouldn't be able to own ships because they have no citizen status until they actually buy into the game, get the citizen status and their ship. And before that, I mean, yeah, we got free fly events and everything, and everybody flies around with ships, and it's a cool idea. But that's more of a long-term idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how viable it is or how possible it is to do this because, I mean,
I don't know,
obviously,
Ace,
if you offer.
because according to the lore, the Star Runner is actually one of its most popular products. So as you know, we get server meshing and whatnot, I could really see it actually being incorporated to the extent that is the transit ship to go to, especially depending on the drives that it has in it and how well
Yeah.
it's going to maneuver. And I would imagine it's going to be pretty fucking sleek inside as well.
And I would imagine it would have to go from point A to point B pretty fast. There has to be a distinct advantage of the Starliner over your Cutlass or over your whatever, right? That would want to make you go and buy a ticket or whatever and get on a Starliner. So,
So a point to be made about Crusader Industries, it's pretty a relatively new company compared to the other companies. I mean, we're talking about
Yeah.
2799,
right.
of its conception.
Yeah.
So they primarily are into cargo spacecraft, and now they're about to enter the universe with their own planet
That's it.
that's actually functional.
Yep.
So the Shubin into Stellar. Let's discuss that.
Well, what before you move on, like on Crusader,
You got a point?
yeah, Crusader. You know what it reminds me of, guys? Boeing. Boeing makes
a little bit.
Yeah.
Boeing makes passenger planes and makes military planes and makes all sorts of different planes, and that's what Crusader does. They've got a variety of like a diverse lineup. So sorry about that. Let's
No,
reminds
you're
me
good,
of
Moss,
Boeing,
because
yeah.
I'm about to put you on the spot now.
Yeah.
You know how I said Microtech was a cold ass Google?
Yeah.
Now you have to give a proper adjective
Okay.
to the Boeing. I'll let you think about it. I won't. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm ready to go.
you got-
I'm
Oh,
ready to
shit.
go. I don't know if
Hit
you'll
me
be
with it.
familiar with this show though, so it won't be
Okay.
as clever as your adjective. But the
All
shark
right.
Shubin Interstellar is the Shark's Den.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know the show, the Shark's Den, or
No.
in England it's called the Dragon's Den. So
Yeah, where you pitch them ideas and they
Oh, this
finance
is
your.
Shark Tank in America.
Shark Tank.
Yeah,
You know why it's
yeah.
Shark Tank? Because I read Shubin Interstellar. I'm like, what is Shubin Interstellar? I always thought it was mining, but I read a bit of their history. They were actually an investment group. Then they bought a
Yeah.
terraforming group. Then they bought a mining group, and they also bought a hangar company that we'll get into next. So to me, they're like the Shark Tank guys, and they're like, tell me your business model, and then they're like, we'll buy that, will not buy that. So, they're just
Conglomerate
they're just a diverse
Pretty much.
investors.
buying up everything.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it. So yeah, the
So,
Shark
so
Tank.
the industry they're in is we're looking at terraforming, mining, the
Yeah,
mining equipment, commercial and industrial products. So, this looks like this company is on the move. And if we did have, and I told you guys this offline, I would love to see commerce go to the extent in the PU to where they introduce a stock exchange or commodities trading.
yeah.
Commodities trading, man. You know, let's take
Not
let's
Wall
take Star
Street,
Citizen to a
Space
whole
Street.
different Space Street.
Yeah,
All right, so
The
Stanton
thing
into
is, they already have. They even have the locations in place already. There's several places around the verse where they actually have like the actual stock market. Like you can go in there and
yeah.
check the
The
files and
prices.
everything. It's there.
dude,
So it would
that
be
would
great if they add that.
imagine being able to check your fucking Moby glass. Like, oh shit, I'm down. I need to actually. I'm gonna hold this one. I'm gonna short squeeze that for a little while. I'm gonna pull an option on this company. You know, if you want to take Star Citizen to another level, if
Oh my
any
God.
dev ever watches this, you guys work on that. Add us a commodities trading because, dude, if imagine you go run bounties, you bust your ass, or you play whatever gameplay loop that interests you the most. And then when you're done, you're like, I want some passive investments. I'm going to get some aggressive investments, but I'm going to put it all into the market and then let's see where it goes. And then utilize your Moby Glass, and then we get a new tab for commodities trading. I would be investing in Shubin and Interstellar because this is a company on the grind, man. They're trying to make moves and purchase
That's
shit and
it.
buy everything up.
Yep. I mean, there's going to be players that only do that. I think they're going to just be.
Hell yeah.
They're going to just log in,
Yeah.
go to the trading desk, and then that's it. They make money and log out.
Hell yeah.
These scampi brokers.
And then imagine if they made an app for it as well. You never had to enter the game. You would have people that players that would only play that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Stanton Investments Capital, you know, trading platform or whatever.
Absolutely.
So looking at some of these
idea.
other companies, AeroView, the hanger mat
AeroView-
manufacturer.
Exactly. They produce hangers that are. They started out producing like high-end hangers for rich clients, basically, but moved on to a more modular system where they could like
Mhm.
produce small, affordable hangers for everybody, and that's where the company really started to grow.
I'm actually going to file a lawsuit against them. One of their hangar doors, it got glitched, and when I was flying out, I ripped off one of my guns with my cutty, and I'm pretty pissed off about that. So I'm in the process of trying to go through the proper channels. And if there is an interstellar attorney, please
Get
hit me
in
up,
touch.
DM me.
Yeah. So guess what though? AeroView is
What's up?
owned by Shubin Interstellar.
Grind is.
There you
Yeah,
go. They're in the hangar
consuming
space
that
as
shit.
well, mate. They're in the hangar space as well.
Those boys, I don't know who's running that company, but they're trying to buy up everything.
That's it.
Shubin
Everything.
Interstellar is based on Microtech, right? Like
Yeah.
their main company seat is on Microtech too.
Correct.
So just a matter of time until they buy that too.
Oh yeah, it's a cold ass Google
Yeah.
and Microtech, and then the Boeing is there as well. So you got a lot of major companies running over there. And then we already covered the Gatac itself, the Railen.
There's some interesting stuff though, man. Like founded in 19,668 BC.
BCE.
BCE.
Yeah. So imagine that. Let's comprehend that for a second.
Wait a second. I'm ignorant. Is BCE before or
It's
after?
before. No. Okay. So that would be before the Common Era.
Okay.
So Common Era would be, what we currently are.
Right.
So that you were correct. That would be BC. That's just another
So
way to add it. So it's before.
Yeah.
19,006. Yeah. So you were correct in your assessment.
They've been around for a while. Let's just put it this way. They're older than the pyramids.
Yeah. Bloody old. Some good stuff was so the humans and the Xi'an had a human trade initiative in 2947, which is like only 4 years ago, right? In the verse.
Yeah.
And Imperator Costigan, who I think is getting replaced now, right? We had an election.
Yep, he's getting replaced.
He's getting replaced.
I think he already was.
He already is, yeah. So the previous Imperator, who just got replaced, we had. I don't know if you know, Delta. We all had an election in game, and we all voted for a new Imperator, but we haven't really heard much about it.
Yeah, that was back in. Actually, was it close
last year,
to the actual election in real life for America? It was like in October, November sometime.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was relatively close, like a month or so apart, maybe 2. I don't remember well.
Yeah, when I was doing my research, I did look into some of that. So I am aware of that.
Yeah.
What I find interesting about Gatac and Alpoa too, it's the other spaceship manufacturer from the Xi'an, is that it's not companies as we know them. And the Xi'an society is organized into houses.
Yes.
And every house gets a specialization. And Gatac, for example, got the specialization for cargo ships.
Right.
And Alpoa has the manufacturing rights for small ships like what is it, the
Khartual.
Khartual and the Santokyai or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know which one I hate the most, the UEE or the situation with the Xi'an. Because, they're a bunch of fucking communists, man. When you really think about it, it honestly is. Like, they've divided these things into the houses. Each house gets a specific, industry that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
They can only do that. There's no free trade. There's no free enterprise. There's nothing fucking free about that. For what? Goddamn, 25,000 years? That's ridiculous. Communism should never go that far.
Space communism. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Fucking cancer.
I don't know
if it's a virus.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Delta. It kind of looks like that. Yeah. I don't know exactly. I don't have enough details to speak further, except there's houses, and the houses do specific things. Are they allocated, Ace, these roles, or do they kind of vie for the roles, and whoever kind of probably don't have enough information?
I think there's some sort of process they have to go through to apply to manufacture certain things, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. Gatac got the permission to manufacture those kind of ships after a somewhat sleazy change in power.
Right. Okay.
If I remember correctly, I'm not sure exactly right now.
There would be a lot of politics.
Remember something along
whether it's communist or not communist, you can definitely bet that there's going to be a lot of politics and backstabbing and all sorts of shenanigans. Yeah. Yeah, I've got
it looks like they have very strong centralized government, because I've kind of tangented off while you guys were talking about that, looking at the houses.
Yep.
And they actually had several issues throughout their history where these houses were vying for power.
Yep.
So it's definitely a very, very concentrated and powerful centralized government. So
Yeah.
yeah, I won't ever be fucking visiting those places.
Fair enough.
I think Gatac was involved to some degree in the power change. I don't remember to what extent, but I think it had something to do with it.
I mean, I don't have much more to add with the POA manufacturer
No,
either. I mean,
no,
except that the Xi'an company has a partnership with MISC. So has a partnership
Yep.
with MISC, and then if you look at the MISC Reliant Tanner and the other two, the Reliance, if you like, the Reliance series of ships, they've drawn from that partnership, haven't they? They've got the sort of Xi'an technology sort of drip through to the other MISC ships, which I found interesting. So,
Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah,
I knew they partnered up, but I didn't know that the Reliance were built with alien tech components. That was new to me.
I believe so. I could be wrong, but I believe the unique look of them draws inspirations from the influence that they had with this partnership. But I could be wrong. Yeah,
No, I could see that. I mean, yeah.
joining dots here.
Well,
no, we've actually sampled just a few companies here. I mean, naturally, there's a lot of different companies and a lot of different industries.
Yeah,
Because commerce is, what holds and keeps everything together. I mean, as you can see, it's united alien species with us and us to them connected that, and not to mention the interconnectivity of humans around the verse. What I'm interested to see is as our economy develops, the relations between each player, as the economy gets more dynamic, more immersive, and eventually certain concepts being added, let's say I alluded to, commodities trading, or if we get a platform to where we can exchange resources from player to player, or crafting being instituted in the game eventually, and being able to list that on a platform to transfer to another player, and or cargo hauling, physicalized inventory. There's a lot of things that are coming that they could build on to create a player to player transaction. And that commerce is what interests me the most in MMOs. With that, especially in
just
an
guessing
MMO.
here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, it's all right.
No, you're
I'm
good,
just
man. Go
guessing
run
here,
with it.
but I think we'll see the first iterations of that once the Banu Merchantman comes out, because that's a ship where you have basically built-in stores, and you can choose what sort of store you'll have there and what kind of stuff you'll be selling. I think that might be one of the first iterations we'll see of the whole commerce in between players.
So the MMO I used to play, we had, I guess, what would be equal to eBay. We had a trading post, and there was a global platform, and every guild could add the items that they crafted. Okay, you had an option to sell it to the you had an option to sell it to the server, or you could actually sell it, post it, list it like on eBay, do buy it now at this price, and players could purchase it, and then it showed up in their inventory.
yeah,
Without getting too much into the details. Essentially, what you had there was the whole entire economy was highly influenced by players. And what I would do is I would actually go on there, and I literally could manage it from my phone. I would scan certain items, like say there was a particular area that we focus or concentrated in, and I would purchase everything off of that platform in that area. Then I would list the items that we made at a higher price. So it was market manipulation. And then
That
what I
will
would
land
do
you in
is
pleasure.
yeah. So yeah, and then what I would do is after I sold all my stuff, I'd relist the stuff that I did sell or I purchased, and then I would sell it at a higher price. So I created the market for that area, and then slowly got into manipulating certain aspects. That kind of stuff, it really is intriguing to me. That's the gameplay that I like to focus on. And once we get I think with the video from Tony Z a while back that we had, they will have the ability to create something like that, and I would definitely love to see it in this game. It would highly increase the amount of immersion that we have in this game. As far as what do you guys think?
I was going to say, man, as you're describing that to me, Delta, I don't know if my understanding of the Tony Z stuff is wrong, but I think it might be, to your disappointment, the polar opposite of what you've described. And by that, I mean, there's going to be a very detailed end-to-end economy, right? Like from the miner that digs the stuff out of the ground, gives it to a logistics guy, takes it to a refiner, and all that stuff. But I think, and I could be wrong, so I could be wrong. I'm excited by what you're telling me, but I understood that Quantum, which is this huge AI, is going to be simulating this huge universe, and it's going to be simulating the economy, right? And because it's so huge and there's so many moving parts to it, the aim of Quantum is to simulate this massive economy, which means that a small org, or let's even say a medium-sized org, or even let's say even a large-sized org, is not big enough to outweigh or impact what Quantum is doing. That's kind of how I understood it, but which means that it means the universe is so big. It's not like these other MMOs where you go and you get a corner of the map and you dominate it and you manipulate the market and the world goes up and down because 20 players did something. Like, the universe is too big for that. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna, like, no one's gonna do crap like without maybe having 20,000 play army or something, which no one will have. So that's kind
I do remember the video, and what you were saying is true. However, there was two different aspects to that.
Yeah.
And let's see, that was a month ago. So what we'll do is I'm gonna go back and watch that video, because I do recall.
I could be wrong.
Do recall me being the light bulb popping up in my head and thinking that, yeah, there is a gameplay loop that you would be able to use to manipulate it. Yeah. And a lot of the time, depending on, but what we will need there is, and they have thrown around the word crafting several times in the past couple of weeks. I've heard it over and over again. Did they talk about it specifically? But it was thrown out there, implying that it was coming. So if we do get crafting, you have to have an ability to sell that, and the economy is necessarily going to come in. Once that economy comes in, however that production rolls and the platform that they put it on, there's always a gameplay loop that you can crack the matrix of the coding. There's always one. There's always exploits to be found. So that's what I'm more or less leaning on, the idea that no matter what they do, no matter what system they set up, like the law system, you get a crime stat 5, the UEE's bringing everything that has got towards you. But if you got badass PvP players, they could really put a stress on the system. And if they get to a point to where you got PvP players that are just slaughtering at crime stat 5, and then you got other players coming in, and then you cannot defeat them, that's kind of like cracking the matrix, an ideal scenario. But there's always an ability to crack it. And the fact that you just challenged me makes me even more excited about it.
Oh, no, I think what you say, I suppose, I think my understanding of it, and I could be wrong, was the design intent was for it to be kind of not manipulated, but what you say stands as well, because anything developers deploy is not perfect usually.
Correct.
And players,
it's going to be more challenging. It's going to be more challenging.
Yeah, players are deviant and creative. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah.
And so absolutely. Now you've encouraged me even more challenge me now
There you go.
to figure it out. All right.
Okay, guys.
All right.
What do you think? We move on into the next section. Open mic.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Open mic.
Who's got an idea that they want to run with? Anything specifically?
Well,
Go ahead,
we kind
Ace.
of touched on it beforehand. The thing I mentioned with the free players was a pretty interesting talking point, I thought. And
Great idea.
once we have server meshing and all those systems in place, I think it would be like a really good method to get some sort of flow into the universe. That's not like based on just NPCs and okay, those 50
Absolutely
NPCs
agree.
get on board my ship and I take them from A to B and that's it. It would create some really interesting stuff because now you'd have people actually looking to be crew on your ship instead of okay, we take mine or we take your ship. I mean, that discussion pops up every time you play with someone. Nah, I want to fly my ship. Come on, let's get on this one.
Yeah. That's a great
It would
idea.
change a lot.
So you got the small packages, $45 to buy a package, right? You get an Aurora or something. So you got this. Maybe you got this market of players that are like, no, I'm not even prepared to spend $45. You know, I just want to see what it's like. And like you say, this is all obviously. Hopefully, the servers can take a flood of players and all the technologies in place and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming all that stuff. But imagine like you got this free-to-play game, not free-to-play, but free to enter. It's free to enter this universe.
Free to enter.
Yeah.
I like it.
And you come in and you go to Delta and Delta's like, look at my ship. Look how beautiful it is. And then, before you know it, half these guys are going to go and buy their own packages and stuff because they're like, hell yeah, man, I want some of this. So it's not a bad marketing idea provided the technology and the servers and all that stuff can tolerate it.
Yeah, stuff like that won't be even theoretically happening until we have server meshing stable and actually working.
So, server meshing is the holy land of this game, dude.
Seems to be.
With every MMO, for me personally, this is my opinion, and you'll never knock me off this. What makes the MMO outside of the game itself and the programming and the fixing the glitches and the bugs? No matter how perfect your game is, it's your player base that creates the game itself by creating player-created content. Player-created content is how MMOs survive outside of what the developers offer. You can offer a AAA perfect game with no issues whatsoever in the most idealistic situation that you could comprehend. If your player base is not creating their own content within the game, diplomacy, hierarchy, wars, events, we were talking about earlier, the commerce and me being able to manipulate the market and the previous MMO, that is what makes the game more intriguing for me personally. So the more player-created content that you have, the more immersion you have.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get that. And there's so many gameplay loops that could be created from server meshing that is astronomical. You're talking about every aspect of the game being completely revolutionized simply by allowing players to be on servers and be able to shift and having more than 50 people. Because essentially, we're all going to be on the same server, but with it all meshed together. We will be in the same universe and be able to travel to and fro. Server meshing, that's the holy land, man. That is the holy land. That's going to revolutionize everything about this game. But I'm going to say this. I don't want server meshing until these stupid-ass bugs that are game killers. There are a lot of people that are going to play this game no fucking shit that's going to come in here and get so sick of these basic issues that are indeed game killers. Here's a statistic for you. I was talking to a guy the other day, and I asked him, I was just trying to get some statistics in my brain based on just dealing with players. So this is anecdotal. I have no data for this, with the exception of talking to people. Overall, on average, from what I have understood, is that some players, to a degree, are winding up with account resets about once a month. About once a month.
It's pretty accurate, I'd say.
Yep.
Dude, once a
Depending on how
month?
much
Are
you
you
gain.
fucking serious? So I thought the other day that when my ship exploded, I was literally very close to resetting my account, and luckily the guy was like, "Dude, no, well, I had that issue years ago. Let's try my strategy." So I tried his strategy, was a little reluctant about doing it, but we did it. It fucking worked. But otherwise, I would have had to do account reset. I would have been depressed because dude, I was on here for like 12 hours straight, grinding, building up stuff, getting myself flying all over the universe, going to this store, going to that store, doing this mission, trying to build, my reputation with Northrop. If I would have had to start over, I would have quit for being the gamer that I am. I would have came back because I'm obsessive. But as far as like other players, they would have quit and never came back. Never came back.
However,
and an account reset once a month? What the hell? Get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah, the thing is, you don't actually lose everything with the character reset. It's not like you have to start from zero. Ships you bought, you will keep mostly. If you're lucky, you keep everything and even keep your reputation. It's just a matter of resetting the character's location, I think, in the game, and sometimes you lose some stuff. And
from what I understood, one dude had to redo all his missions and shit.
Well, that might also be the case. I've heard
You're talking about
other
4 or 5 days worth of fucking work, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But let me tell you my take on this discussion. Like, as a org leader, right? I've seen a wave of players come into my org and experience a whole bunch of bugs and stuff, and leave because of the bugs, right? And then I've had another wave of players come in, and this wave seems to be more resilient a little bit. But even there, it's a constant struggle of keeping people, focused and in the game. One thing I tell everyone is you cannot, in any sense, shape or form, view this as like you're building something. Because this alpha is on a slippery slope, and it's an alpha. I don't like to use it's an alpha. I'm not hiding behind it, but it is. So if you're looking to build your character up, build a fleet, build your stack of money, you're coming in it with the wrong attitude, and you're going to leave.
You're in for a disappointment.
You're going to leave.
Yep.
What you need to view this as, forget about building your money up, building your ships up. What you have to view this as is I'm going to sit down for 3 hours and I'm going to experience something, and hopefully it'll be fun. And if it's fun, great. If it's not, it's not. But don't have this view of this continuous game yet, because, mate, that's not... And I tell all my members that. And if someone gets pissed off at losing their ships or losing because of an account reset, I'm like, dude, mate, you're coming at this the wrong angle. If you're going to stick with me for the next 10 years until this game's in a stable place, you can't worry about your money. You can't worry about your ships, mate. Like, there's only 20 missions in this game. So whether or not you save up $10 million now, guess what? You're going to do the same 20 missions next time. So there's nothing new. You're not progressing anything. There's nothing, So I've had this experience, Delta, trying to keep members in. It's all good recruiting and getting members. This is what I've come up with the saying, like finding Star Citizen members is one thing, finding resilient Star Citizen members is another thing. So
I see where you're coming from. However, I've realized that the philosophy here is you need to play for the bugs in this game. You got to play for the bugs. So even with mining loop, you're going to be afraid every fucking second that you're going to 30K and lose all your cargo, 4 hours worth of work,
Absolutely.
however you might. The issue here is that there's a lot of these bugs that should not exist compared or contrasted to a lot of the new additions. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
The new additions shouldn't exist, and neither should the bugs, because the new additions were, pretty much set to the side to make sure that these bugs are taken care of. And unfortunately, I'm no coder, but I do understand that programming is a very complicated situation. So for those individuals that are coders, I think have probably a little more compassion towards them trying to find these bugs, because bugs create themselves and it's a pain in the ass. However, I mean, I hope that shit gets fixed ASAP. So before I forget, let me ask you this question. In your experience being the org leader in Star Citizen, those individuals that are more resilient, because I've been looking at some of the data, the statistics on listeners for our podcast and YouTube, we are hitting that range of about 36 to 44, right?
Right.
Those individuals that aren't as resilient, what are they younger players?
No.
You would say it's just equal?
Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily at all. The bugs of, let's be frank, they're quite horrendous, and it takes a lot of patience, and there's a lot of disappointment. And if you come in with an attitude of like you're playing some progression, whether you're young or old,
you're up for disappointment.
You're coming at it all wrong, and you might disagree with the bugs and all that stuff, but they're there. They're there. So
you have to adapt.
If you're not, we can have all the opinions we want on the game, but it is what it is, and we're the ones that have to adapt. And if you want to be here for the long term, I would advise all org leaders to be very flexible. Like, I allow my players to, if they get burnt out, I recognize that, go away. Like, go, let's play some other games, go. You don't have to come. If you don't come to every event, we're going to kick you out. I'm very flexible, if you're burnt out, man, I can respect that. Or if someone gets really emotional when they lose, oh, fucking, I lost. Like, I don't have any fear of a 30K, dude, because when I'm mining, I'm not there thinking, ooh, I'm going to get rich and buy myself a gun. I'm there thinking, I'm experiencing this mining mechanic in this alpha game, and if I'm successful, it's cherry on top for me. I got some money in the bank.
No,
but
I can tell you, if this fucking game ever got to a point where I had to mine and become rich to buy a fucking gun, I would not play it. And I'm one of those resilient players.
Oh, no, sorry. I exaggerate. You know what I mean.
Just fucking with
yeah.
you. I know what you're saying.
So, yeah, I don't no real age group or any statistic I can think of. Yeah. It's just the special guy. When you find them, hold on to him, Delta.
I think what helped with that mindset was the wipes we had previously. We had a wipe every patch, so you knew you were going to lose your stuff, and you weren't sad about it. It was like, whatever, I'll grind for it again, so everything's good.
So I'll close this section. The one question is, when are we going to get to a point where we don't have to play for the bugs and we don't have to be overly resilient, even though technically it's an alpha? I would like to be able to have a lot of those bugs eliminated before we move into server meshing, because honestly, dude, if we move 2 years down the road and we get server meshing, and I'll be excited about that, and we're still dealing with these same types of bugs, trying to bring in player created content, bring in more players, it's going to be fucking absolutely insane and overwhelming for everybody. And I'm a resilient player. Like, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm willing to stick around. I'm not going anywhere, no matter, like you said, it's there, you fucking deal with it. So when I'm bitching and complaining, it's really, I'm warning people before they get in the game, just be prepared. Like, this is the reality of it.
Yeah. And dude, sorry, Ace, you go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, dude, I'm like you, man. Like, for example, right now, I can't take my gun out without the game getting totally balked, right? So I'm like, $250 million, 10 years, I want to be able to bring my gun out. Like, there are certain bugs that I, like you, Delta, think this should be solved, right? I don't think that they're gods and everything's perfect. You know what I mean? So there are some bugs, mate, that I'm on. You should see me on my streams. I'm very much like, mate, this bug should not be here. I should be able to pull out a weapon after 10 years. $250 million. Exactly like you're saying, Delta. This bug shouldn't be there, and that bug shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But, I understand the desync and the optimization and stuff, but I should be able to pick something up, or I should be able to, pull out my weapon. I should be able to, walk onto a ship.
Bugs are one thing, but my main issue is frequency of those bugs.
Yeah.
And I'm done talking about that because it's starting to piss me off.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't want to wallow in the mud, guys. I think that's it for today, guys. If you've got nothing else to add, we're going to wrap it up here. This has been episode 2 of the Citizen Feed with my man Delta and Acerimmer. Hope you guys come and join us again. And until next time, guys.
Absolutely.
See you in the verse.
Throw this out there. So if you guys have any questions, you can always email us at thecitizenfeed@gmail.com. We'll put all of our social links down below in the description. Feel free to interact with us by whatever means you can. Delta X 85, and we're done with this show.
See you around, guys.